pushing forward feels like a fight. Shadows of doubt creep in my mind, but I refuse to surrender. I must find a way to rise above the pain, to overcome, to break the chains. My existence is a test of will. I won't be broken, I'll stand still. The weight of the world crushes me down. Fear and uncertainty all around. But I deep find inner strength to face the trials length by length. A way to rise above the pain, to overcome, to break the chains. My existence is a test of will. I won't be broken, I'll stand still. Through every storm, I'll find my way. Through every night, a brighter day. I'll rise from ashes, like a phoenix born. My spirit unbroken, my heart reborn. I've walked through fire and emerged scarred, but wiser, stronger, and unmarred. My existence is a test of will, of trials overcome, of a soul made bold. The way of the world, above the pain, to overcome, to break the chains. My existence is a test of will. I won't be broken, I'll stand still. Oh, made bold. Through every storm, I'll find my way. Through every night, a brighter day. I'll rise from ashes like a phoenix born. My spirit unbroken, my spirit unborn. Day to day, nothing changes. All I want is a moment to think clearly, but thoughts come unrelenting, consuming every waking moment. My mind binds me and I can't escape. I shout for help when no.
It is Tuesday night. NXT was live. Of course, this is the Dirt Sheet Radio post-show rewind. CJ Carter flying solo tonight. Tyler, the pro wrestling hipster, decided to go be a good dad and attend some recitals. So props to him. If you're only watching for Tyler, and let's face it, if you're only watching for Molly, first of all, I totally empathize with that. He has some absolutely cute animals in his house. Second of all, if you don't want to look at my dumb face, that's totally fine too. I get it. Anyways, we had another good episode of NXT tonight. The second of the what I'm calling the Netflix era, because it's actually on Netflix for me up here in Canada. Woohoo! Except it's dumb and I don't actually get picture-in-picture during commercial breaks. Still, it's kind of a piss off, but more on that likely coming up this Sunday. CJ and Tyler's weekly wrestling roundup going to be launching this Sunday. I know we've been saying that the last few weeks now, but we're actually doing it this week. So be watchful for that. Something else you can watch. Watch as you type comicbookclick.com/dirtsheetradio into your browser and get up to date on all your pop culture wrestling needs. That is the home of Dirt Sheet Radio on the internet, comicbookclick.com/dirtsheetradio. enough pandering, enough plugging. NXT. We're going to start with the main event segment of the night. Roxanne Perez, former NXT Women's Champion after dropping the title to Julia last week, comes out to address her future in NXT. Big speculation with the trade window that she's going to wind up on Raw or SmackDown later on in the year. She starts on a face promo track talking about her goals for the women's division and how important her title reign was. And, she gets the good crowd pop for a little bit and swerves right back into heel territory and starts saying about how the women's division isn't gonna be anything without her. They talk about how good the women's division is, but it's not gonna be a darn thing without Roxanne Perez in it. And she is interrupted, surprisingly, by Bayley. Bayley, who actually was kind of making the rounds on WWE TV lately, showed up on Raw last night because it was in her hometown, and showed up in NXT tonight, seemingly to offer Roxanne some advice, and it's good being the legend passing down advice on to the next generation kind of thing. Roxy was having none of it. She flat out said, I don't want your advice. So it kind of leads to a bit of a confrontation between the two of them. NXT goes off the air with Roxanne slapping Bayley right across the face, and Bayley actually takes her down to the mat, and screen goes black. So I want.
Hello. Hello.
Hey, Ja.
I just wanted to point out for a second for our US viewers, they actually got Bayley and Roxanne's segment cut off on them on the CW network.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
Like, how much?
I would say probably for you when the NXT logo came up, did you notice that it was up for a longer amount of time than it usually is, like at the end of the show?
A little bit. Like it
Yeah.
was I did see it come up kind of when I think it was when Bayley was hyping her women's title match this
Yep.
Friday, right? Yeah.
Yep. That's about where
And
it cut off for them.
okay, so the clip did extend. Bayley got slapped and then she takes Perez down to the mat. That's where it ended for international viewers. So we get a bit of a director's cut extended edition. I'm sure it'll be on socials and NXT's YouTube page later, but yeah, that's how we ended the show tonight. It feels like, and we'll talk about this a few times throughout the night, where it feels like they're more seriously taking an an active approach in setting up feuds for the next generation of NXT call-ups. So this is what I am predicting is Roxanne Perez's first feud when she hits the main roster, taking on Bayley. Whenever this trade window closes and she ends up going to the main roster. And hopefully this is something that really works out because that's something that they've had real problems with of calling up talent, either thinking there's a good plan in place and then dropping it or just having no plan at all. And Roxanne Perez in particular being quite a popular superstar in NXT, they are really going to want to see her done justice on the main roster. So hopefully that'll be a smooth transition with Bayley as her first feud. Now that will take us back to the top of the show. We usually loop around here. Started with the main event and then work our way back down the card from the top. So we had a video recap of New Year's Evil last week, and then we go into a promo from the new NXT champion, Femi. And, I didn't think about this yesterday because they showed him in the crowd for Raw, but I really was hoping his first appearance as NXT champion was going to be on NXT. Like it kind of takes a bit of the steam out of his first appearance as NXT after realizing that he was on Raw. But anyways, he comes out and he starts talking about um, the match last week. He gives Trick his flowers as a good champion, and then he starts talking about Eddie Thorpe. And very quickly, he's interrupted by the Don of NXT, the North American champion, Tony D'Angelo. Now, when Tony comes out, he's talking about how he is 2-1 against Obafemi. So it kind of feels like they're teasing for uh, furthering the feud between the two now that they're both champions. In fact, Tony even said he wants to be I can't remember what he called himself. It was like the double belt Don or something like that. Um, but once he starts talking about challenging Obafemi, Ridge Holland comes out. Now, of course, we saw uh, I'm getting ahead of myself. Never mind. Uh, ignore me. So Ridge Holland comes out, and of course, he's got something behind his back. He takes it out, and it's a framed photo of Ridge Holland dressed up as Santa Claus, and he tries to attack D'Angelo with it. They end up brawling on the outside of the ring. While that's going on and all the officials are distracted, Eddie Thorpe slides in behind Femi and takes him out with this big, long ass leather strap and manages to, get one over on the champ. Um, I really like this heel Eddie Thorpe. It's I still would have loved to see face Eddie Thorpe work, but it just never worked out. Um, injuries didn't do him any favors, but it felt like a lot of start stops, especially with the underground matches. Like he should have skyrocketed to the moon after those, but he is really good at playing the devious, tactitious heel, and I really look forward to seeing where he goes. But obviously, he's not going to beat Obafemi. I don't foresee any stretch of the imagination where Obafemi loses in his first title defense. This is the guy who went on an absolute dominant tear with the North American title, set a new record for the longest reign. He could not be touched. And if they want him to be a successful NXT champion, it's essentially he's going to have to do the same thing. So no, I don't see Eddie Thorpe getting the title from Obafemi, but it does kind of establish Femi as the face in this feud going forward. So we'll see how that dynamic plays out in the coming weeks. From there, we go to the men's locker room where we see Oro Mensah talking to Dante Chen. Immediately, Ethan Page comes into the locker room and starts uh, heralding, talking about, oh, you must have seen my TV segment with DJ is what he called him because they're such good friends. And Chen is just having none of what Ethan Page has to offer tonight. So they make a match official for later on in the night. I'm going to blow through a lot of these segments, by the way, just because we'll talk about the important stuff, like the match that this segment um, is highlighting. Like I'll put more of the meat and potatoes into there. So after that, we get some shots of wrestlers arriving. We get Jackson and Legend, Fire and Dawn. They have their number one contenders match for later on in the night. They hype Roxanne's promo for the end of the night. The reason why I bring that up specifically is because at this point in time, I'd say we're about 20 minutes into the broadcast. And then we start the next match. Shotzi versus Stephanie Vaquer in a number one contenders match for the Women's North American Championship. It was about 2 minutes into this match that they finally unmuted the commentators. I was getting show audio up to this point, but we weren't getting any commentary whatsoever. Like, even the show opened with a shot of I think it was the skyline, and then we go right into the recap package. Oba Femi comes out, there's no commentary, and then all of a sudden I just hear Vic Joseph and Booker T talking in my ear during this number one contenders match.
Can I bring up something I actually noticed when it comes to commentary on the international Netflix feeds,
And
specifically
about
when
how
it
they
comes to
ad
yeah,
reads.
yeah, it's the ad
Yeah.
reads. I think they muted them for an ad read and fucked it up, and
Yeah,
left it
that is
muted for too
exactly
long.
what they did. They've done that a couple times too, where it's like the timing isn't super great, and they'll either come back and unmute Michael Cole on Netflix or on Raw, and he's at the like tail end of the ad read, and then like there's times where it's just like right blatantly the middle of the sentence. This is easily the most egregious technical error of the Netflix era so far, which, considering we're like 8 days into it, you'd think um, you'd think they would have had this kind of thing ironed out. You know, like they've been doing international broadcasts for a long time. WWE has. So you really would think that they are just supplying the feed to Netflix. Like, this isn't a Netflix fault. This is WWE's fault.
Yeah, they absolutely have, because the director has multiple feeds that he's in control of. So, I mean, I can understand too how it can be a lot. It's still kind of new, but they get paid too much to be making this kind of mistake.
100%. And that is all Netflix money, too. So anyway, Stephanie Vaquer, Shotzi have their number one contenders match. This was a really good match, in my opinion. I thought this was a great showcase for both women. Shotzi in particular. Shotzi actually picks up the win because JC Jane comes out for the distraction. She gets in the ring, takes a double headbutt for her trouble. And then Fallon Henley is able to blast Stephanie Vaquer in the back with her title. And Shotzi manages to get the pin. So more kind of shady tactics from Fatal Influence, minus Jasmine Nix. Jasmine Nix was nowhere to be seen tonight, and Shotzi also didn't look too pleased with getting the win with assistance from Fatal Influence. So it'll be interesting to see, because they've already kind of false started this once with Stephanie Vaquer winning the number one contendership. So she also has a leg to stand on as far as we got to redo this again. Like, she easily could have won the match if it wasn't for Fallon Henley. So whether Shotzi will actually get this match as advertised, we'll have to wait and see. But I think if they want to add like a last minute wrinkle into this, then we may see that as well.
I actually just watched a clip of the finish for this match, and well, one, I didn't know Booker T was that outrageous for this
Oh
finishing
my
move,
god.
for Stephanie McCur's move.
I actually had that written in my notes too. Like, the noises he was making, I wish the commentary was still muted. Like, they could have brought that feedback like after the commercial break and I would have been fine. I I want to say go look at it, but seriously, don't just don't.
It's not worth it. The camera,
No.
the director's a coward anyway. You don't need that.
I feel so bad for Vic Joseph in moments like that, because how do you play off that as a commentator? Like, having to improvise what you're seeing, and you have a guy just grunting animalistically beside you, and anyways. So yeah, Shotzi gets the win, and I was very disturbed. Moving on to a segment in the back, we see the a good chunk of the women's roster in, I guess, an office. Like, it wasn't a locker room; it was some weird, um, unused space, I guess, in the performance center. But Kalani, Jordan, and Zarya are talking about Kalani trying to get back on track because she's, former North American champion, and she needs to find herself again, essentially. They are interrupted by Cora Jade, who says something to the effect of she's the same girl, and gets slapped so hard rings fly out, a la Sonic the Hedgehog. And so that sets up the match for later on in the night, which we'll talk about when it happens. Commercial break, commercials come back, and Oba Femi walks into Ava's office and essentially just demands a match against Eddie Thorpe. And as much as, obviously, Oba Femi wants the match, Ava doesn't want to give Eddie Thorpe the reward of a title match. And Oba gets angry. Robert Stone tries to calm him down. Obafemi picks this man up and pushes him into the wall, a la that meme that we know exactly what I'm talking about. We don't have to talk about it, but you know what I'm talking about. And so she makes the match. It's, very straightforward. So next week, Eddie Thorpe gets to take on Obafemi for the NXT Championship, and we'll see what they do. I mean, it very well could be that they really want to swerve. I don't think they will. It Unless it comes back to like the week after and Obafemi just demolishes Thorpe and takes the title back, but then that doesn't do anything for Eddie Thorpe. So, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. Then we had the match between Ethan Page and Dante Chen. It was a much shorter match than I was expecting. Ethan Page just kind of took it in like 4 minutes or something like that. After the match, we see a beatdown. He takes off Dante Chen's boot, sticks it under the steel steps, and drop kicks the steps onto Dante's foot. Now, this leads to Javon Evans coming out to seek retribution against Ethan Page for him getting his own jaw wired shut. Doesn't take long for Page to fight Evans off. All he really has to do is just punch him in the mouth because he's already wired up. So, and you do see, I don't know if you can see it in this particular shot, but you do see some blood coming out of Evans's mouth during this promo or segment. And then at the end, Ethan Page does his whole thing, and standing essentially above Dante Chen and Javon Evans. I love this version of Ethan Page. Like, it's so much more visceral than I think we've seen Ethan Page be before. And considering where this started with this sort of crisis of faith moment after he lost the NXT Championship, I wonder if this is going to lead to like a more successful NXT title run somewhere down the road, or if this is even going to lead to like a North American title shot. We'll see. We'll see what they do, but I do like where they're kind of going with Ethan Page for sure. Then we get some backstage segments, rapid fire, one right after the other. First, we get Obafemi walking past Dion Lennox. Lennox says, "Hey, maybe I'll challenge for the title one day," and Obafemi just kind of gives him that look. Same look that I'd be giving Dion Lennox, like, yeah, okay. And then Then we hear Adriana Rizzo arguing with Sean Spears. Spears is just still trying to recruit Rizzo into his quote unquote cult. And then he's cut off by Izzy Dame, kind of given the "hey, I told you crazy kids to get out of here" sort of thing. And and then Izzy says this apparently makes her even with the Don. I don't know if we're going to get any elaboration on that, or if this was something that I'm just completely forgetting about between Izzy and the Don. And then we see Carmen Petrovich and Adrian. Oh my god, I almost called him Adrian Adonis. My god, I am tired. Ashante the Adonis. Definitely not. Is he dead now? I don't even know. Um, Ashante the Adonis is telling Carmen Petrovich he's done playing games and wants to be official. He gives her a rose. She says yes, gives him a kiss, and they walk off. Again, just one of those segments where it's like, I have nothing better for any of the people involved, so we're just throwing them on TV so fans remember who they are.
Was this kiss that bad? Did this kiss look that bad when it was in motion? Because it looks like the worst Hollywood kiss. Like she's on the cheek.
I I think she came in pretty fast, if I remember it correctly. So it
Okay,
might
we just
have
got a
just
bad
been a
screenshot.
timing error. Yeah. But yeah, that's and then we head to I can't remember if it's commercials or if it was the progressive sponsorship package for Julia. So it basically just highlighted Julia winning the women's championship, getting her plates put on. She talks about the victory, what it means to her, and it hypes up that she'll be back on TV next week. Sponsored by Progressive. So after that commercial break, and then we come back to DIY. Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, WWE Tag Team Champions, returning to NXT. They are here because they've heard all about Fraxium and they want to find out for themselves what they are capable of. They made a point of saying no shenanigans, like we're not gonna do anything, like the hint hint wink wink without the actual wink wink. Um, and so very much teasing that they're gonna be Fraxium's first feud if they get called up to SmackDown. Again, planting that future feud and just seeing or kind of giving that reason for NXT fans to watch them on the main roster, or for main roster fans to really learn who these NXT people are. Because I'm sure we'll see them interacting with DIY on the main roster if and when they do get called up, if this is the way they're going. From there, we got Metaphor taking on Unholy Union, the number one contendership for the women's tag titles. And this was an awesome match. They both teams looked fantastic, and this really set Metaphor up for success on the main roster. They won the match. Both teams had really good, sizable chunks of offense all throughout the match, and it's really great to see a team that's really gotten over so well. Like Lash had popularity all throughout 2024, and it was to the point that we thought she was gonna break away, become her own singles competitor and see more single success. But we do see Metaphor continuing their tag team success. John, do we think that this is going to lead to new champions?
I think that because they've challenged before at like a rookie level, and this is supposed to be like they've rebuilt and they win and they worked and they climbed back to earn their spot. I think if they lose, it will be a real disservice to them. I
Fair.
also think that that story with Bianca and Jade and Naomi is at a perfect place to maybe drop the titles here because of some big plot thing. Maybe Jade
Hmm.
returns and reveals, like this bitch Naomi took my fucking spot, or whatever is gonna happen. But yeah, honestly, I really do think they're gonna win, or at least if they don't, I think it'd be a bad move.
I agree, and I'm glad I called you in. You basically took the words right out of my mouth. Like they even went to Crown Jewel. They had a big pay-per-view match already. So for them to get the opportunity and not actually be able to win here, I agree. I think that's a massive wasted opportunity.
Now, do you think that this means they're going to be called up, or are these tag belts about to be shelved and sent to someone else's problem, like the NXT belts? You guys can.
Uh, I I the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships is a whole other discussion, which I look forward to having another day. But I think as far as the WWE Women's Tag Titles go, I don't think they'll shelve them. I think they have to
I think it's not like
stick it
real
out.
shelf. It's not like real shelving. It's like a soft shelving. Like
Oh,
it's not the main roster's problem anymore. Like we'll give it to Meta, and then they'll go to NXT and stay with it because NXT has more girls and things going on anyway. So it kind of got like put in a corner like Corey Graves did.
oh, jeez. So that's also going to be a discussion for Sunday. But since we're talking about, I think because the singles titles on the main roster got introduced, that was kind of the sacrifice is the women's tag titles don't get that TV time anymore. So
Yep.
yeah, maybe they did get downgraded to NXT.
I kind of
Obviously,
hate
they're
that we
gonna.
saw it that way because it is a big win for Meta because they're gonna get a win over main roster girls, probably,
Mhm.
hopefully on a main roster show. Like
Both former women's champions.
that's still big for them, even if this is the belts getting sent down rather than them getting called up. Like that's still a big thing under their belt. I should make that clear.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point too, because I, as much as we would love to see Lash and Jackson get promoted to the main roster, do you think they'd take Oro Menza with them?
No, no, you see the way they get used on TV.
Yeah, like and like I can't even stress like as soon as Ethan Page walked into the locker room for that segment, Mensa's just like I'm out. Like he dipped so fast. It's like if I was on screen for 5 more seconds, they would have had to pay me. That's how fast he got out of Dodge. So I and with Noam still injured, do we have a an updated time window at all?
No, nothing. There's been like no talk about no Amdar.
Shit. What was that, like 8 months ago now?
Just about. It feels
Damn.
it feels longer.
It really does. Because, I mean, like, even Ethan Page and Oro Mensa's feud feels like a lifetime ago now. And yet here we are still talking about it
It
like
felt
it's still being referenced on screen today.
it felt like they were gonna do something with Oro Mensa after that. Like, oh wow, but it was just an Ethan Page story, and he got to be a supporting character in it.
Yeah, do you think there's a chance that Oro Mensa doesn't like if they do get um okay, my brain just too fast for my mouth. Do you think there's a situation where Lash and Jakara do get called up without Oro Mensa?
I think that if they're not going to get called up now, then Oro Mensa still has time. But at the same time, I think that they're starting to realize that the meta girls are working by themselves, and they
Yeah.
might not want to have to deal with any extra weight.
Now, the other thing too is if we're anticipating that the tag titles are going to come down to Tuesday nights, would the match make sense to have? Oh yeah, if there's story implications with Bianca, Naomi, and Jade, that would have to happen on SmackDown.
Yeah, absolutely. Or at least Saturday night's main event. Maybe you could do it there.
Ooh,
Unless that
that would
card
be a
is
good one.
full. Have they filled it up? Like 4 matches or whatever?
I think they've only announced Gunther and Jay, and oh, what was the other one that they announced last night?
Oh man, you're right. There was 2. Crap. Drew? No, not Drew.
Yeah.
Is it? The Drew
No,
versus Seth is next
no,
week.
sorry. Yeah. Um.
Well, it'll come.
Oh, Braun Breaker and Sheamus.
There we go. Okay, so no girls announced yet either. There's still a shot. There's still a
Oh yeah.
chance.
And like obviously we're anticipating. Yeah, that's a short card with a lot of commercials and celebrity cameos and whatever the fuck they're gonna throw on NBC.
Yep, and that's a big stage. That's a big stage for the Meta Girls, which
Oh yeah.
I don't know if they're calling them that, but I like that. It sounds.
They are officially, I think.
Oh
They
fuck!
called them that on TV.
Fucked.
Yeah.
He's so fucked. That's horrible.
But I think they're still like representing metaphor.
Yeah,
So,
but like OTM and Jada Parker, like, like
but she was at least still referenced on commentary, and she's still in the graphics, so they're still associating Jada Parker with OTM, even if she didn't come out with them tonight. Whereas,
developmental. Oh, excuse me. I didn't mean to cut you off there, CJ.
oh no, that's fine. I was basically just gonna say, like, they did not mention Oro Menza at all on commentary, from what I heard.
Oh, that's
So
horrible.
they might already kind of starting to be cutting ties here.
Yeah, that makes sense too. If they're gonna win any titles, they got the name change. He's not even managing them anymore, and he's only in backstage segments. It sounds like he's waiting for. It sounds like they're waiting for a time to come.
Right after WrestleMania, budget cut
Yeah.
season.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
Fuck.
Developmental is funny that way with faction stuff too, because it's like there's always gonna be one that sticks out. It's not like the main roster, like it's literally these are like the kids. Like one is always gonna stand out and make the other ones look like shit. Unfortunately.
So, what do you think's going to happen with Noam when he comes back? Like, if he comes back and they've cut Mensa, do you think that he's going to be able to stand on his own?
I think it's been so many years that they've done, nothing of significance. And this meta thing was like the biggest thing that he had since like Alicia Fox. Like I'm pretty sure they're gonna run the rest of this guy's contract out. Yeah.
That's awful.
It is.
Like, I
It
really
is.
came around on Noam Dar because of Metaphor. Like, I remember the Alicia Fox days, and those, as entertaining as that one joke was, it wasn't representative of Noam Dar as a wrestler.
No.
And
Not
I
at
think
all.
that's why I had such a not negative opinion, but just indifferent opinion of him for so long until Metaphor really took off.
That thing that concerns me with him is that when he was getting TV time like that, it was because Vince thought he was funny. So it's like I don't know what Triple H thinks about Noam Dar.
Well, I mean, he's cut the 24/7 title, which was a lot of good R-Truth comedy bits, and R-Truth still has comedy bits. So I think um, as long as Triple H wants to use Noam Dar as a comedy act and he can flex those comedic chops, then I'm sure he'll be fine. But if he wants to wrestle more seriously and Triple H just doesn't see that in him, then, maybe there'll be the Meta 2 on the indie scene.
That's fucked up. You already got
I, well, Meta girls, Meta guys, I don't know. So, yeah, that is essentially all I've got on the number one contendership for the women's tag titles. John, anything more you wanted to talk about on that?
I'm happy that they got over in the way that they have with management and with the crowd. It's like really working for these girls. When they first started, I remember like thinking Lash Legend was like really bad, but she had just started. It's always interesting to watch them develop like this.
Oh, 100%. You know what? We spent all this time talking about Lash and Jakara. How do we feel about Fire and Dawn at this point?
I like them a lot, man. I like Kaylee Ray or fuck the fuck I forgot
Alba
her name
Fire.
now. Alba Fire. There we go. And,
She's been Alba Fire for years
for
now,
so
John.
long, and I just never, I never took to it because she's never on like for the first few years she was never on my screen. I don't watch fucking NXT UK.
Fair enough.
I don't.
The irony, though, she was Kaylee Ray that whole time in NXT UK.
Yep.
And she was even Kaylee Ray on US for a while.
For a little bit. And then Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. I think they had a cool thing going on the main roster. That whole witchy thing. Like it's like a gimmick. It's a TV show. I thought if there was a way to not get lost in the fucking sauce, that would be it. But I guess even that's not enough. So you kind of wonder, like, what on earth would they have to do? Like, Isla Dawn is literally showing half her ass on television. And, like, what else can you possibly do? So I don't know what their future holds. I almost think, like, this is a last-ditch effort. Like, if it doesn't really, I don't know, take off on NXT, and I don't know what they plan on doing with them. They've been there for weeks, right?
They've been there, I think the last 3 weeks or so.
So they're getting that Baron Corbin,
Apollo Crews kind of.
Yeah. If this doesn't work, then they're cooked.
But it worked for Corbin in NXT, and then they brought him back to the main roster, and that's where he still wasn't getting any traction. So if they do find footing in NXT, which losing this match is not going to be good for them as far as getting that traction. So if they do bring the tag titles down to Tuesdays, maybe this is the champ's first feud is Unholy Union.
That actually, now that you say it that way, and they just got there 3 weeks ago, it sounds like that was in preparation for the tag team titles.
So basically, the women's tag division is all like. I hope we don't see the mass migration of women's tag team wrestlers back down to NXT. Like, there still should be, like, this should be the opportunity where if you do want to have, like, NXT teams going after the titles, fine. But there's still the WWE women's tag titles. So they still should be going to Raw and SmackDown to defend, right? Going on to pay-per-views and defending.
Theoretically,
man, I hate that word. I hate that word.
That's kind of the way it should work, right? If it's like part of the win, the idea that you could. Like, oh, they've got the belts now. It could possibly happen, although it probably won't. That sucks.
As much as there's so much wrestling already, it's almost like they need a fourth show.
Oh no! Oh man, it's coming too, isn't it? NXT Evolve.
Well. But is that just going to be a rebranded Level Up, or is that going to be like the Worlds Collide TV show? Where we see the NXT talent that are almost ready for the main roster, and the main roster talent that can't get any TV time. Is this going to be that middle ground?
It kind of sounds like, well, from what they described it sounded like Level Up again, but with Gabe Sapolsky in charge, which, as someone that watched Ring of Honor regularly when Gabe Sapolsky was at his peak, even at his peak, the guy had some interesting ideas about how to use young talent. So I mean, I'd like to see how this works.
I mean, we'll have to wait and see. I don't even know when that show starts.
No, there's no real time yet. This rumor has been around for so long, and now it seems like it actually has legs. So like we'll see.
Is this the Veer Mahan is coming of
kind of,
TV shows?
kind
I
of.
or the WrestleMania 40 behind the scenes YouTube video of show debuts.
We'll see it when Dwayne gets done with it.
Same can be said for NXT in general.
Oh fuck!
Like
Oh, they have a level up. I forgot they have WWE LFG.
oh, that's okay. What did that stand for again? Legends Future. I don't fucking remember.
Let's fucking go.
Yeah. Oh, Legends and Future Greats. That's what it is. Let's fucking go.
That
Um,
actually sounds more like the Worlds Collide show you were describing.
so, and if they do that, I'm fine with it. But again, the landscape of wrestling is just so full right now already. So if let's say they put um, like dedicated weekly nights for Evolve and LFG on Wednesdays and Thursdays. You would literally have wrestling just from WWE 5 days a week, not including PLEs and Saturday night's main events.
God,
Holy fuck! That
I
is so
can't.
much goddamn wrestling.
When I was a kid, when I was a young kid, I remember wanting to watch everything that they had. I remember watching like Raw, SmackDown, Velocity, Heat. On Sunday mornings they had like a show called Experience where they just
Yeah.
did like clips and shit. And it was like, man, I can't get enough. The kid today that has that mentality has to watch all this shit. I would have burnt out in like 3 months.
Because it's not just the wrestling, it's all the storytelling interwoven through all the shows that they have to talk about in promo packages. And like, I'm watching LFG, why the fuck do I care about Solo losing the Ula Fala to Roman
Yeah.
Reigns? Like, that kind of shit. I am exhausted just at the idea of it. And we're not even there yet. We still have AEW, TNA. We still have whatever fucking else is on TV too. Like,
I need to dedicate. I do, and I have to. Otherwise, I'll go literally insane. I dedicate days to nothing of wrestling beyond like the 24/7 news cycle. But I can't. Like, I need to watch a movie. I need to read a book. I need to fucking go do something, culture myself, so that my brain doesn't run on pure wrestling. I can't. I can't. I can't even imagine. I cannot imagine right now.
no. And hopefully we don't have to imagine for a long time. But at least if they're non-consequential, we don't have to watch them live. We can just watch them on demand and be like, yeah, I've got half an hour. I might as well throw this on Netflix while I'm doing the dishes or some shit.
I'm happy it exists.
Mhm.
I'm glad that it grew from here though. I was already what like when before we started doing the streams, I was very happy watching the weekly TV shows through clips. It was a lot easier and it was blissful and I could jump in and out and it didn't feel like 3 dedicated hours, So I am fucking burning out with just regular weekly TV. Again, I can't even imagine.
The blessing that WWE's YouTube channel has been by posting full recaps of the shows. Because I mean, like on Mondays, I usually work until like I got home at like 9:30 last night, and I almost immediately went right to bed.
Yeah.
I wake up this morning and I just go to YouTube's homepage and it's got a 12-minute video of Raw recap that just lays out all the important shit and all killer no filler.
I love that. Actually, they used to be so stingy with the clips, and then all of a sudden, last year's Royal Rumble, we were at the show. We came home, and the WWE YouTube had like top 30 or top 10 entrances from like tonight's show. Like, what the fuck? You guys are on your shit. Holy shit, this is new to me. They didn't used to be that way. They used to pause the image on the recaps on the show. Like, you couldn't even see the action.
You would get just like a slideshow of pictures
Yeah.
because they didn't want to like give away any footage.
Damn, man, we've come a long way.
Oh yeah. it's it's so good to be a wrestling fan now. Like we slogged through some shit.
Yeah, we did. Fuck you. It was rough. I almost gave up on this art form a couple of times, but I didn't. I stuck out. There was always at least one or two things that called out to me in wrestling when it was all bad. So I'm just glad to see everyone having fun, even with the stuff I don't like.
Absolutely. Like and that's where I really don't understand the most aggressive tribalism between companies. It's like what changed when Edge became Cope that made you not want to support him anymore? Like it's literally the same guy, just it's like if your favorite Starbucks barista went to go work at Tim Hortons.
How
Like
dare
it shouldn't really affect your thoughts on the person themselves as much as you're saying it does.
I think it comes from like a sports fan mentality. I'm not. I admittedly, I'm not big. I'm not. I've never been the biggest sports fan. I like the art
Hmm.
stuff, but I can. But I've seen it. I see it all the time. LeBron moved from fucking Cleveland to Miami, and they're burning his jersey, and they hope he fucking dies. And they mean that shit. Like they mean it from the bottom of their fucking heart. They want him to die because he moved to another team. And I guess that's just unfortunately human nature, as much as I hate to even consider the fact that we're all inherently capable of it. But but I guess we fucking are. I don't give in to those baser instincts, I guess.
I don't either, because I mean, like you're talking about like it's kind of human nature, and I'm sitting here like I don't think it is. Like I think that's just ingrained tribalism through other sports media.
It's
Like
probably that because again, I don't maybe it's because I don't watch sports like that that I just don't feel that. Like I see these guys as performers and I want to see them perform. Like I'm not I don't see Penta on Raw and I think, God, I fucking hate him now. Like he should be on Dynamite. Like I'm like, oh yeah, this is cool. This is surreal. It feels different. Like I'm excited because it feels weird. Like what the fuck is he doing in that ring? What is he like? It's cool to me. I don't know. I guess we're blessed to have higher IQs.
if anyone takes anything away from this episode, it's that John and I are smarter and better than you.
Sorry.
Facts. And on that note, John, we still got a lot of NXT to talk about. Let's hop back into it. We had and thank you for letting me call you out too. We had a backstage segment with Lexus King getting his nameplate put on the Heritage Cup. He is officially now the Heritage Cup champion. He's approached by Charlie Dempsey and Ren Sinclair. And Charlie's willing to give Lexus his flowers, but Ren is just pushing that rematch hard, like to the point that she said the word rematch so many times that it sounded weird, and I can't like hear the word the same anymore.
I love
And then
them. I love Ren with them. Like
100%, like
it's a whole
best
new
part.
level. It's a whole other like they were fine before because I like wrestling and they're wrestlers, but like she's given them this whole new layer. It's awesome. I'm glad they found something with her.
And not Drew Gulak.
To hell. Go to hell.
No comment on what got him fired, but I think that this version of the No Quarter Catch Crew is the best version of the No Quarter Catch Crew so far.
Hands down. Rest in peace. What was the guy's name? Darius, or the dude that got fired?
Um. Oh fuck.
He didn't even do nothing wrong.
Yeah. I know who you're talking about. Gable Steveson,
There you
Damon
go, his
Kemp.
brother. There you go.
Damon
I see.
Kemp. Darian. So, so then we hear this crash in the metal shutter that they're standing by. Ava goes outside to see what's going on, and there's a massive brawl taking place between Ridge Holland and Tony D'Angelo. People are trying to break it up. And then we see later on in the night, Ridge Holland will challenge Tony D for the North American Championship on NXT next Tuesday. I genuinely think this might be the family's time. They might be getting the call up to the main roster, but obviously we don't have the same sort of main roster tease that we've gotten from, or rather for Roxanne, Perez, Fraxium. So that may still be to come, but I do think there is a solid shot, the way Ridge Holland's been booked lately, that he might become the new Heritage Cup champion, North American champion next week.
It makes it honestly wouldn't be the word. Like, I wouldn't be mad at it as much as everybody loves to shit on Ridge. I think where he is right now in his little excursion, so to speak, to NXT, it probably would be the best move to do something like that with him if they care. Like, if he's not just here spinning his wheels, if he's something they actually want to invest some time in, then that's probably the move to make.
Well, and I think this is another one like, but
BJ.
hey BJ, thanks for watching, man. I hope you're not the only one watching. Maybe you're the only one watching on Facebook.
63 other people watching.
Hey, wonderful! Shout out to the all 60 plus people, 63 across all our platforms. Love to see the viewership. So I guess we were talking about Tony D and Ridge Holland. I think Ridge Holland is one of those guys that has actually had a successful NXT career rehabilitation. Like we talked about Baron Corbin earlier. And honestly, he was doing well in NXT. So if they do decide to give Ridge Holland another shot in NXT, I think he'll see the same sort of success that Baron Corbin did. Obviously different because he'd be a singles champion, whereas Corbin's only NXT accolade was the tag title. But I hope that they do give him something, because he has worked really hard at improving over the last year.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess most importantly, he hasn't injured anyone.
Hey, don't jinx it. We still got to
Fuck.
get through the title match next week. And if I swear to God, if Tony D breaks his neck, I am holding you personally responsible.
Fuck! It's on fucking footage. It's on camera. Hey, look who
We're
showed up.
live. Oh, hey, look at that.
Also, very, very overdressed. I'm not gonna lie. We were just at NXT, Charlotte. What's going on?
You know, and it's interesting too, because we see, and I don't think I talked about it when we talked about Roxanne's promo at the end of the night. When Bayley got out of the vehicle, we only saw her from the ankles down. Like it was boots only. I thought it was Charlotte.
That would have been crazy. Actually, that actually would have been crazy for the first time after all this time showing up at fucking NXT. But what I was just like, I like Charlotte. I think she's awesome. I've liked her I love her. She's a fucking awesome wrestler, especially for like someone who completely developed in the PC. Are you kidding me? She's incredible. I don't know understand why she dressed like she's going to the Oscars. I guess she's got fucking style. I wouldn't have done
Just pulled whatever random dress out of the closet.
this old thing.
What I'll say about Charlotte Flair is the only thing that I really don't like about her is the fact that so much of her character is based on her dad. Like so many of the mannerisms are the same, like the music, the
Woo.
catchphrase, the finisher, like so much of her personality was lifted from her dad. And Natalia was guilty of the same thing with Brett, and I think that might be part of the reason why she's only seen minimal success. Was Rick had a much better relationship with the brass, and he very possibly just got the ball rolling. But Charlotte is very talented and deserves all of her accolades. But I think that's part of the reason why I just got tired of her so quickly. Was she's she shouldn't be just her dad's daughter. Like she should be her own version of herself. Ditch the music, find a new finisher, and like you can still be Charlotte Flair. Like don't pull a Lexus King and denounce the whole lineage, but be your own person.
You know, I actually think in the opposite direction, but not all the time. It doesn't always work because you kind of get stuck in the shadow. Like if Lexus King tried to be Brian Pillman Jr., he'd be fucked. I think the thing about Charlotte is that they successfully made it work. Like Triple H in his sick fucking mind. He's like the biggest Ric Flair fan. Like he literally cosplayed Ric Flair for like 3 fucking years on Raw. Had his own version of the Four Horsemen. And now he had the opportunity to create a new one. Like Triple H is like he's got his own Ric Flair. Like that was it for him. He made this work by any means necessary. Like
Same way they made Roman Reigns work, by
yeah,
any means necessary.
exactly. I
As I'm
remember
wearing my Shield shirt.
I remember going to I can't remember what fucking WrestleMania it was I was at. Charlotte makes her entrance and they gave her pyro for what felt like it was a absurd, like a comedic amount of fucking pyro. Like it was incredible. It was ridiculous. It was
Was that
legitimately.
was
It
that
might
her
have.
triple threat main event?
It might have been. It was something. What WrestleMania was that? Was that 33, 35, 35 with Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch?
Yeah, 2019. It was right before the pandemic.
God, it was so funny because I was like, this is legitimately just Ric Flair. Like it's incredible. I think it's if you would take someone from the 70s and place them in 2025 and they looked at the TV, they would expect to see Charlotte Flair like exactly doing what she's doing.
Fair. I and so if she's showing up in NXT, I'm sure she's training to come back. There was something that I remembered scrolling past that Ric Flair might be showing back up on TV soon. I imagine I don't know if you heard that same thing, but I imagine the two were connected.
I think I think for sure if Charlotte's coming back and then it's been long enough and now Triple H kind of has like I don't not just Triple H, but a lot of people in this fucking country have this thing. They don't care anymore. They don't care anymore. I honestly expect to see Brock soon. Not that I'm asking for him, but I really feel like they're gonna feel emboldened enough in this year to do it. But like, so I expect to see Rick. I think Charlotte will be back. Probably, I would wait till the Royal Rumble. Like, I don't see no reason to tell people like, hey, Charlotte Flair will be at the Rumble. Like, you're not the building's already full. Like, there's no reason to advertise that. I would prefer it if they don't say anything and the music just hits. I always prefer that. I just understand the money side. You can't always do that, but I don't see any reason why you have to tell us Charlotte's coming.
Oh, that's true. But I mean, like, I really hope that it wouldn't be one of those, oh, she's returning and she's coming in at number 30, so she's winning the Rumble. Like, I think there are a lot better options for Rumble winners just based on the stories of the past year, which I really hate it because they did it with Brock. Well, not really Brock. They did it the year Ronda won it, um, and I think they did it. They've definitely done it with the men before, countless times too. Um,
I'd like for her to come in and make it to the literal last two, just to scare the shit out of everyone. And it gives a
that would be
great
good.
moment. It gives a great moment to whoever does win it. Like I honestly, I think this is Io Sky's year, but we will
Good call.
see. We will see.
Well, especially like if they are still gonna wind up feuding with PFC.
Yeah,
I wonder if that's gonna be the match heading into WrestleMania is those two stables.
I honestly think it's more. I've seen the WrestleMania Women's Championship matches as Tiffany Stratton, Charlotte Flair, and Io Rhea Ripley. That's kind of how I've had it written down. I don't know if it's going to end up that way. It's just kind of from with Io and Rhea specifically. I when they had that face off randomly in November, I was like, well, that's interesting. I wonder when we'll be revisiting that.
And then
Uh,
Nia Jax decides to show up
yeah,
last night and fuck up the whole thing.
yeah. So they're definitely like they're kind of playing the game there. I can see Io going to WrestleMania. That'd be cool. What did this? That'd be two in a row, right? She lost to Bayley last year. She'd be challenging this year.
Mm-hmm.
And Bayley, unfortunately, not unfortunately, maybe this is setting. Maybe she's setting up a WrestleMania match with Roxanne. Because I honestly
Could
don't
be.
know. I don't know what the fuck else Bayley would be doing at WrestleMania.
I think this is the best case for like it. I feel like it would be like the WrestleMania SmackDown, like the night before that they brand as
That's
part of like
horrible.
the 4 day WrestleMania extravaganza. Like I that's basic. She's gonna get Andre the Giant treatment.
I think it'd be really cool for Roxanne to start her WrestleMania feud on her like final NXT appearances. I don't know, it's a unique thing. It doesn't happen.
No, and it really would be something that would be surprising and new, and because we've seen the same sort of booking strategies over and over throughout the years, we see something that might shake it up a little bit. So I'm excited for that too. Um, then after King and Dempsey and D'Angelo and Holland, yeah, because that's where we left off, and then we end up talking about WrestleMania and Bayley and a whole bunch of other not NXT related subjects. We get the match between Kalani Jordan and Cora Jade. They cut to the front row, and we are shown TNA Knockouts champion Masha Slamovich. She is watching this match, so it really feels like they are teeing up to have the new Knockouts champion getting some an NXT challenger. Like they did mention Genesis coming up this Saturday, and her title defense there. But I feel like this is setting up for like Cora Jade's next feud. Is she's gonna be fighting for the Knockouts title?
I love that name so much. That's like the best wrestling name I've ever heard in my fucking life.
Slamovich.
Incredible. I want there to be a Slamovich family. I want other Slamoviches. That's a perfect wrestling name.
The new royal family in wrestling, the Slamoviches.
The new Dudleys. They don't even have to be like ethnically related. It's just like all across the map.
I'm just imagining like the entire like just an army of Slamoviches, all sizes, all colors, creeds, all across the companies. Like you see one Slamovich, they're all related. But yeah, it was. I thought it was a decent match. At one point, the crowd chanted "boo" over and over, like just. I don't know if that's like a Orlando crowd thing, but it was. It kind of took me out of the match for a little bit. But yeah, they had the finish come when uh, Kalani had Cora backed into a corner, and Kalani just had a flurry of offense. Ref had to pull her off, and Cora uses that distraction to rake at the eyes and manages to capitalize and get the pin. Afterwards, we see Cora continue to make eyes with Slamovich, and I guess we'll see how that plays out on NXT TV. Do you see them going to Genesis with this?
I think they were mentioning Genesis. What was the date on that? Is it like this weekend?
Yeah, it's Saturday.
Oh God, that sucks. If that is what it is, like 1 week, like okay, all right, damn.
Well, and I think she already has a like a match set up already.
Okay then. Okay, so I mean, hell,
Oh
shit.
yeah, no, I mean like, is Cora going to appear at Genesis
Oh.
and try and cost Slamovich the match?
At the very least, she could show up after and make her declaration. I would say I would try. I was trying to read her tattoo, but then I was like, I don't know if I like. Why? Yeah,
John, it's okay. I get it. It's like you either tell me what it says or you let me read it. One of the two. She is facing Rosemary in a Clockwork Orange House of Fun match.
Wow, I saw that movie. I don't think they're gonna do those things in that match.
Well, it's I remember seeing I didn't watch the episode, but there was a clip where TNA brought Raven back and inspired the match into existence.
That's great.
Yeah.
What the fuck is Raven doing now anyway?
Speaking of, like, JBL on Raw next week, what the hell has
I,
he been doing?
I don't like the coincidence that it's the week after a new luchador shows up. What are you up to, JBL?
Hey, he made friends with that Mexican back in '05, so
I hope so.
hopefully his worst racist days are behind him. But you never know. So after that, we had a they showed this video from Eddie Thorpe's Instagram story, him talking about laying the trap for Oba Femi, and he shouts out Ava for setting up the match. He honestly sounded stoned. He sounded like he had at one point he was talking about the full moon, and like he ended the promo saying he feels good. I'm like, that dude's on peyote. I feel like he's definitely smoking something.
Understandable.
And then from there, we go backstage and we see Fraxium confronted by Josh Briggs and Yoshiki Inamura. I have to pronounce it slowly or else it's going to trip me up. But essentially, they say, hey, we're next in line for the tag titles after you guys are done with OTM. They didn't think OTM should have been getting the title shot at all. They thought this was their opportunity for saving Fraxium in the parking lot. Well, OTM comes out and says they're not even going to be the champions next week, so you should be talking to us instead. Fraxium leaves. OTM starts beaking with Briggs and Inamura. They start fighting each other, and it felt like they were setting up OTM's first challengers for after they won the title. We'll get into the match a little bit later, but I do still think that this is their next feud. Either way.
I still think I'm still hung up on like they really traded Omos and got a rookie from Noah. Like that's the coolest thing. Like you never would have seen that. Like what the fuck? I wish it would have been acknowledged that way. I wish they would have made like a big deal about it. Like, we're making a trade, like we're sending Omos to Japan. It's kind of happening in the background, and it's like we know it's happening, but I really wish we would have made a big deal about this because then, Inamura here would have a little more, I guess, like pre-built investment in from the fan base rather than having to completely do the young boy thing from the bottom up. But still very cool.
Well, I think you would have had to do that for some extent either way, because
Yeah,
so
I mean,
much
you
of
always do
the
that.
American audience isn't going to know Noah from a hole in the ground, myself included. Like, that's another reason why I have to slowly go through Inamura's name, is because I don't say it. Like, I even made a point of writing in, usually I just do last names. I wrote in his first and last name because I'm like, I'm never going to fucking remember it. But I like what they're doing with the tag team division in NXT. It's very compelling, and I'm here for it.
Shout out to Omos, by the way. Currently
Yes.
GHC Tag Team Champion in Pro Wrestling Noah. Incredible stuff.
Well, good for him. I'm still blown away by the video of that slam from last week.
Oh,
You know which
the
one I'm talking about.
powerbomb. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it was.
Ultimately, it's funny because everyone's like, yeah, fucking Omos in Japan. It's because he's literally just doing Omos things. And the Japanese people are like, this is fucking incredible. And it's working. I almost don't want him to come back here so that it falls flat in front of you unappreciative motherfuckers.
Is that going to be the case though? Like, is this going to be all for naught if he comes back to the main roster and they're just like, oh yeah, this guy's a wrestler?
I mean, that's pretty much what's gonna happen. I don't really see it. I don't think like they're gonna bring him back from Noah and put emphasis on him because of that. They're just gonna be like, back into the slot you go, Gear. Like, hopefully you're better now. You don't need any more oil. Like that's the way it is. Almost, it's heartless, but it's the way it is.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see, because obviously if this is a trade between Omos and Inamura, Inamura's going to have to go back to Noah at some point. So whether they do end up sending Inamura back to Noah or Omos back to the States, maybe this is just the new norm.
And to be again, it's really cool. Omos is a wrestler that needed development, and going to Japan is literally what everybody would say. Like, oh, the giant needs work. Like, it would be awesome if he could go to Japan and then fucking wrestle over there, and they literally just can now. That's really cool. Unfortunately, I look at like Tavion Heights, and he was doing excellent in Noah. They loved him during that tour, and the people in charge at Noah loved him. But then, now he's kind of just slotted back, the gear back into your slot. That's kind of what sucks.
Where was he with the rest of the NQCC tonight?
Oh,
Like,
fuck,
he didn't have Miles Bourne either. Yeah.
No. Oh, no.
Yeah, all we got was Dempsey and Sinclair.
Oh, man, that's actually fucked up.
A little bit. But, it's Shawn Michaels' world, and we're just living in it. So, from there, we go to our main event match, our final match of the night, Fraxium defending the NXT tag titles against OTM. Fraxium gets the win here, with DIY watching on from the balcony. This was a really good match. I was very surprised with the result, in that I thought OTM was going to win and Fraxium was going to head up to the main roster. What we did end up seeing was Fraxium getting the clean win over OTM. So I don't know if this is emblematic of whether Fraxium does get called up or not, because I can't imagine they would have brought DIY down for a pointless cameo just to watch a tag team and do nothing with them.
I think there's a lot more willingness to send people down to do one-off things. I don't think DIY is gonna be down here for very much longer, but a fucking match with DIY would be really good for Fraxium, even if they lose, which they probably will. But it would be really good for Fraxium. I don't know that they're ready. I don't not ready. I don't know that the main roster is ready for them right now. Like I would hope because War
They get
Machine
lost
will.
in the shuffle.
Yeah, that's kind of what I don't want to happen. But you got War Raiders right now, and DIY, and Motor City Machine Guns, and I think Fraxium will fit in, and they'd give us some really good matches. But I don't know.
But even just thinking about even the Street Profits, like have we seen them on TV lately?
They had a match. No, they got taken out. They got taken
Oh,
out.
right.
Oh my gosh! But my daughter's just screaming back there.
She's so distraught about the Street Profits being taken out.
Clearly,
I Fridays are a busy day for me now, so I don't always get to watch SmackDown. I must have. Oh yeah, I didn't finish watching last week's, but maybe another time. We did talk about it a little bit earlier on in the night. Jada Parker was not out with OTM tonight. We didn't see Jada at all tonight, did we?
no, we did not. I mean, she could have the night off. Like, she could just be chilling at home. Like, she didn't get written off of television or anything, right? When was the last
Right.
time we saw her? She actually have we seen her after the loss to Lola? Right?
I don't think we have. But
Interesting.
we have seen Lola, but only
Yeah.
like once. She wasn't on tonight either.
They got cycled out.
They're just waiting for Evolve, and then they can start not using more people.
She was there. She was there though. Apparently with Mickey James tonight. There's a lot of people backstage at NXT. What the fuck is going on?
Well, Mickey might be showing up for the Rumble if they're bringing her in, maybe just to go over some stuff or contracts, whatever.
Yeah, hell yeah. Nick Aldis is there. Might as well.
Yeah, I would like to see someone not in the company win the Royal Rumble just to see something new.
The show ends with like security coming out and clearing the ring and shit. This is wrong.
Like,
This wasn't supposed to happen.
it's like they still didn't sign Jordan Grace. She's still with TNA, and if she comes in, wins the Rumble. What the fuck are they gonna do? Like, if their champion decides to fuck off to another company, like I know that it's been teased before, but this is the first era where that genuinely could happen. Not on a like. I'm trying to think of the word. Obviously, it's sanctioned, but
Yeah.
it's not like someone's just gonna go rogue and show up on AEW. No, I mean, like, if some TNA wrestler shows up and their first appearance with a WWE title is in TNA, that kind of thing.
That's possible. I'd like to see something like that, but they're fucking cowards.
Well, that brings us to the end of the night. We've gone through the entire card, bottom back to top, and then back down to bottom. Before we jump into the Jobber of the Night and Megastar of the Night, we got a little bit of business to take care of. So we talked a little bit earlier, comicbookclick.com/dirtsheetradio, the hub for the best intersection of pop culture and pro wrestling that you could ask for. comicbookclick.com/dirtsheetradio. Catch the Major Issues show every single Thursday on their YouTube channel, Cold Case Project on YouTube, their YouTube channel as well. You can shop DSR on our Shopify store. Be sure to check that out. And also be sure to check out monk.com. If you use promo code DSR10, you get 10% off your order of organic handheld essential oil diffusers. And catch Delphin Pod shows available everywhere podcasts are found. John, let's get into the jobbers of the night.
Oh, hell yeah.
That you The best addition to the Jobber of the Night segment by far. So I don't know. I don't specifically have a jobber, but yes, I do. It's Dante Chen. I I wish they would do right by the guy. He has uh, he's had reasonable success as far as fan support for a while now. And I don't know if it's just that his injury kind of backtracked him a little bit too much, but he's good. And I don't know why they're not doing something more substantial with him. Hopefully they do soon, but I also wouldn't be surprised if he ends up um, in the same job prospect as Oro Mensa after WrestleMania. If you were watching the show the whole time, you get what I'm saying. So yeah, that's gonna be my pick for Jobber of the Night tonight. John, who you got?
My jobber of the night is Oro Mensa. Watching the Meta Girls win their match tonight, called the Meta Girls. No mention of him. He's been cut off, and that's really, really rough because they're about to get a rocket strapped to them, and he's gonna get left behind on Earth. So he's definitely my jobber.
Yeah, it is a bummer. Hopefully they keep him. I don't know. I like Oro Mensa. But we'll have to wait and see, I guess. That brings us to our megastar of the night. John, I'll let you take the reins on this one first.
Okay, my megastar of the night tonight. It's probably gonna be Ethan Page. Ethan Page came out here and he's done a real good. They've done a real great job rehabbing him because he wasn't really doing anything when they brought him here, and he kind of felt like a silly addition. Like, what the fuck? Like, why did you sign Ethan Page to NXT? He's like 50. But it's worked out, and Trick Williams. Maybe it didn't work out as well for Trick Williams, and maybe it'll work out better for Javon Evans. But it certainly is working out for Ethan Page.
Yeah, I agree. Ethan Page was also going to be my megastar tonight. He is like, this is the best version of Ethan Page that we've seen in NXT so far, which really feels weird considering he's a former NXT champion. That should be the best version of Ethan Page, but I just hate his theme song so much. And hopefully this might even lead to enough of a character shift that they need to rebrand him a little differently and he gets new music. But regardless of that, he is still my megastar of the night tonight. He's been putting in the work. That's it. That is the Rewind in a nutshell. We are done for the night. We will, of course, continue on talking about wrestling all week. We are here pretty much every single night of the week. We've got Monday Night Raw Rewind on Mondays, obviously. Tuesday nights, Tyler and I are here talking NXT. AEW on Wednesdays. Thursday nights is Impact. Friday nights, of course, Friday Night SmackDown. We've got the flagship show, the podcast, on Wednesday late Wednesday night, early Thursday morning. We've got the 3NT podcast on Sundays. We've got CJ and Tyler's weekly wrestling roundup coming back on Sunday. And this in addition to the Saturdays, pay-per-views, whatever, we've got wrestling related going on the weekends. For my absent co-host Tyler, and for our big boss Johnny Dirtsheet, CJ Carter here with you again on a Tuesday night. Looking forward to talking more with you next week. Until then, we'll see you. Keep tuning in, and yeah, awkward sign-off complete. This is why Tyler. This is why we need Tyler back.
We miss you, Tyler. I hope you had fun at the orchestra.
Hell yeah.